All right. Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Yes, welcome back.
Today, we're taking a look at something that I know a lot of you have been asking about,
Hmm.
and that is, uh, how might some of the things that Donald Trump is saying, how might they affect the election?
Yeah, great question.
The election is coming up.
Big question.
It's a big question.
Yeah.
And I think, this is something that, I don't know,
People are thinking about a lot.
people are talking about a lot. People are thinking about a lot. It's something that's on all of our minds.
For sure.
And so for this deep dive, we're going to be looking at a clip from the political commentary show Coffee Talk,
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one.
hosted by Gersson Torres.
Yeah, he's
He's a pretty interesting guy.
provocative, he's
But
interesting.
I say so, too.
He definitely is not afraid to say what he thinks.
Not afraid to share his opinions, and that's what we like about him.
Exactly, that's why we're talking about it.
That's why we're talking about him. And so, what's interesting about this particular clip is that Torres is arguing that. He's saying that while some of the things that Trump is saying, some of his rhetoric might get his base excited,
Yeah.
it might also be turning off some pretty key voters,
Yeah.
particularly immigrants and Puerto Ricans.
It's interesting, right? This idea that
I think so.
the very things that are getting some people fired up are pushing other people away.
Yeah, and we're going to unpack all of that.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it.
Yeah.
One of the things that Torres points out in the clip is this statement that Trump made,
Oh, right.
where he called America a trash can of garbage of the world.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, now, obviously, he was talking about issues like immigration and policy, right? But that phrasing,
I can see how that would rub some people the wrong way.
I think so, too.
I mean, calling your country, calling America the country you're running for president of a trash can, you can see why that
Yeah.
might not resonate with everyone.
Yeah, and it does kind of, it makes you wonder, you're trying to unite a nation. Can you really do that when
When you're starting by insulting it,
you're starting by insulting it? Yeah.
it's kind of like you're trying to fix a car.
Yeah.
But you're like hitting it with a hammer first.
Yeah, it's not the best approach.
Really not the best approach.
But it gets even more interesting than that because Torres also points out this comment that a Trump supporter made,
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
where they called Puerto Rico an island of garbage in the ocean.
Oh, wow.
And, when you think about it, Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens,
Yes, they are.
and they have been through so much, politically and economically.
Oh, absolutely.
And then to have that label kind of slapped on them,
That's gotta hurt.
it's got to hurt, right?
It's like they've already got this burden that they're carrying, and then you're just piling more on.
Right. It's like kicking somebody when they're down.
It's not a good look.
No, it's not a good look.
It's not a good look, and I think it speaks to a bigger issue, too.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
Puerto Rican populations are growing in some pretty important states,
Mm.
like Florida, like Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah. Big swing state.
Huge swing states. And if you alienate those voters,
That could have serious consequences.
exactly, it could completely change the outcome of the election.
So it's not just about being sensitive, it's about strategy.
It's about strategy, it's about understanding the electorate and knowing who you need to appeal to.
And Torres makes a point about, it's not just Puerto Ricans either.
Right.
Immigrant communities, both documented and undocumented.
Right. Huge voting bloc,
A huge voting bloc, especially in urban areas.
especially in cities, yeah.
And could you see how some of Trump's words, particularly that trash can metaphor, could really
Hit a nerve.
hit a nerve of these communities?
Absolutely. I mean, you're basically telling them that they're unwanted, that they're part of the problem.
Yeah, and that could definitely mobilize people.
Oh, absolutely. It could galvanize them against his candidacy.
And it makes you wonder. It's like, some people hear Trump's rhetoric and they think, this is a guy who's not afraid to speak his mind.
Right. He's a straight shooter.
He's a straight shooter. He's telling it like it is.
He's not sugarcoating anything.
He's not sugarcoating anything. Yeah,
But it's a double-edged sword.
it is.
Because that same bluntness, that same willingness to say whatever's on his mind,
It can really turn people off.
it can be alienating, it can be offensive, and ultimately it could cost him the election.
So Torres is really getting at this really tricky balance in politics, right?
Yeah, I think so.
How do you speak about tough issues? How do you talk about change? How do you advocate for what you believe in
Without alienating people.
without alienating people, without being offensive, without...
Right, because ultimately you're trying to represent everyone.
Right.
So you have to find a way to speak to everyone.
That is the big question, right? How do you do that? How do you navigate sensitive issues like immigration, which we all know is a hot-button issue.
Huge.
A huge issue, while still appealing to a diverse electorate.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one, and I don't think there's an easy answer.
I don't think there is either.
But it's definitely something for all of us to think about.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I hope this has been a little bit enlightening, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.